Okay, I just happened to be in PlanetScale and I thought I would show a couple things that I liked. So the first thing I think is pretty obvious. Visually, it's, I would say, stunning. Like it's really simple, beautiful, appropriate use of colors, things like that. So when you first log in, you get this dashboard, and this actually I kind of missed, but like it's interactive. So you can click on it and you can see like your primary, how many rows and reads across time, queries, IOPS, CPU. So I actually used this one time. I was doing a bunch of deletes, and so CPU usage was really high, and I didn't realize that. And then I saw it, so I was like, oh, okay, I need to like increase it, and I was able to just go into cluster configuration, bump it up, no downtime, get through all the deletes, and then bump back, which was kind of cool to be able to do. So right from the dashboard, you're able to like click on these. You automatically get a couple replicas on the plan that I'm on, which is not a big plan. It's, 50, $60 a month maybe, plus data storage and things like that. And those replicas you can access basically by just changing your connection string that you're using. I think you add like an @ to the username or something like that, and then it automatically will pass things to the replica. So in Rails, you can set that up as sending reads to that and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. So that's kind of a cool thing. Another thing that you get is deploy requests. These were a little bit confusing to me at first, but once you get used to them, they're pretty cool. So they give you zero downtime. So you can do changes to your schema and all this kind of stuff, and you'll never have any kind of like outage type thing where things are not available because you locked a table or something stupid like that. I got used to this at GitHub, and then outside of GitHub, I kind of missed it. And so now it's kind of back, and they've named it and made it similar to pull requests in GitHub. So this is when I dropped two tables that were hundreds of gigabytes, and they were just gone, and I didn't have to babysit it, didn't have to do anything. It was really nice. Another thing they have is branches. So deploy requests are created against branches. In this case, what I use it for is for parity in staging and production. So this is production, and then I just created a staging one 21 minutes ago. I updated it, and I can connect to that one separately. In settings, I have another user that's set up. It can only access this one, and this is no data but the same schema. And then I can branch against this with new changes, and then deploy them to staging, test them there, and then deploy them to production. That same set of staging changes along the way. So it's kind of like being able to promote things through environments, like Heroku allows you to do. And then the last thing that's really, really cool, I enjoy this a lot, is insights. I'm a big fan of metrics. This is query latency, so you can see, P99s, all that kind of stuff, and give you an idea of how it's doing. It's a nice little graph. If you go down, it'll give you the exact queries, and you can see, what's going on. They obviously sub out anything that would be potentially private. You can allow that if you want to, but by default, it's off. And then it kind of gives you an idea of like, this is impact. So total time, which is generally what I'm looking for when I'm doing performance stuff. Count, doesn't matter. Latency and stuff might matter a little bit, but you want to know the overall impact. So I can tell these two are the biggest impact. And that makes sense because these are incrementing the analytics and the requests coming in. And so those are the two biggest. The selects reads are going to happen a lot less in an analytical system. This is for Flipper Cloud feature flag analytics. You can go to anomalies. They try to detect these automatically. Of course, I have zero anomalies. Normally, I would have some in there. I just happen to not have any right now because I've had a good 24-hour window. The anomalies will also show up on this graph here, which is like each day. And then you can go to queries, and in queries, you have that over time. And again, you can see the same kind of stuff. Rows red, that gives you an idea of like, again, which is it the number of queries you're sending, or is it the number of rows that you're returning in those queries? And if you all of a sudden get an anomaly here, that like you did something new that you didn't have a proper limit in the query or something like that. And then rows written to give you some idea there. And then of course you have errors as well. So for me, I'm getting some errors. These are all deadlocks because I'm trying to increment the same row, and so I'm getting some locking around that. Right now I'm doing some retries. I really need to just do like the slotted counter pattern to add like an extra column to avoid this locking and stuff, and I just haven't done it yet, so at some point I will, but I can see that I need to do that here, which is kind of nice. And then the last thing I talked about at the beginning, but the last thing is this cluster configuration. So you can just come in here and you can pick a new cluster size. And this is, basically the compute that you're going to get. And so that's kind of how you can decide what you want. So in this case, how many virtual CPUs you're going to get, how much memory, what's the storage going to cost. That's the same everywhere. And then what the price is for that. So you can kind of move up and down as you figure out what you need. I started with PS10. When I did a bunch of deletes, I went up to a PS80, and then I figured out a different path forward on that. So I migrated back down to PS40, which gives me a little bit of headroom, and I don't have to think about it and don't have to worry about abusing them. So that's kind of that stuff. They have workflows. I have not used these. That's probably for something fancier. And then, you always can do console. You can allow production consoles or disallow them, which is kind of nice if you're into security on those kinds of things. And then backups and stuff, all things you would expect, and general settings and things you can change. You can turn on data branching to allow data to go into those branches so that you can actually test index improvements and things like that. Again, another thing at GitHub that I always loved. And then you can add your whole team. You can, they have vector storage. So if you're doing some AI stuff, I haven't tried that yet, so I can't. This is where I talked about the staging versus main. And then there's also webhooks for certain changes and things like that that you can add. But I, again, haven't used those either. But I just wanted to show a couple things that I liked really quick. I'm only using this currently for analytics, but it's really nice for like when you don't know how much you're going to store and you just want to shove a bunch of data somewhere and generally have it work. So that's it.